Good evening, folks. This is the Factivist Report for Sunday, the 18th of June. Happy Father's Day to all you fathers out there. Hope you had a great day. But tonight we need to talk about 2024 and what we need to do. And you're going to be hearing this over the course of the next 16 months. I would think quite a bit. But we're going to start tonight with just a little preview for what we know what's going on right now.
And once again, happy Father's Day. And I guess it's very appropriate because we're going to be trying to get rid of all the motherfuckers from the Republican Party and vote them out. It's time to do it. It's just time to get to work and time to find candidates who will replace the Republicans. Deb and I have been saying it over and over and over and over again. The Republican Party is supplying you with nothing but excuses and finger pointing at the other side. And I'm going to show you several official websites from people who are already in office or people who are running for office talking about what they've done and not pointing fingers and not talking about, calling people out or any of that. They're pointing to what they're at least trying to do. Okay. So let's start this thing. Let's see here. So let's just start this with your basic article. This is from the New York Times. Yes, this is right after, January 6th, but they're talking about an exodus of the Republican Party, okay, and why people are leaving and what the Republicans are doing to cause this. I'm sure people have their views on government, but whatever your views might be, the Republicans aren't going to help you. All they're looking to do is put their people in power. They showed it to you on January the 6th.
What they do is establish fascist rule, an authoritarian government. And what they're doing and what they've spent your taxpayers on is oppressing people of color, lesbian, gay, transgender people. They have, victimized veterans, yet they claim to be such patriots. They, are coming after your Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, whether you want to believe that or not. If you give them power, they will take that away. They will make mincemeat of it. They're talking about defunding the CDC, defunding, the DOJ. Okay, I don't understand what it takes for people to get it, but Donald Trump broke the fucking law, and he needs to be held accountable. And no, I'm sorry, nobody that has come before him has broken the law this way. Not as president, he hasn't. Daniel Ellsberg, he stayed here and he faced the music. He didn't run. He didn't become a citizen of Russia.
By the way, rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Daniel Ellsberg. And he was a whistleblower.
Yeah.
That is not what Donald Trump was doing, showing classified documents to jugheads like Kid Rock. I mean, seriously, people, what does it take?
And on top of that, then you have his GOP followers defending him over and over and over again, saying that this is weaponization of the DOJ. No, it's not.
No, it isn't.
He broke the law in such a blatant way, it wasn't even funny. I'm going to name a couple other groups of people, women with abortion rights and personal sovereignty, and also the labor movement. The working class has been attacked. over and over again, and the elderly with the COVID relief, the working class with just trying to pay off their student loans and their kids' student loans. This whole idea of, oh, you just need to go to college and you can build yourself up that way, doesn't really work anymore, and oftentimes. So, and COVID, whether you want to believe it or not, it existed and it created a huge issue with the cost of living with living in America. So, and Biden has really helped with that. And the Republicans have done nothing
Yeah, they did.
to help.
They managed to, get rid of all the help
Right.
that was being given to people. And there's an article out there now, and I can't remember the exact number of how much the wealthy managed to escape paying in taxes through tax fraud and everything else.
Right.
The number is ginormous, and they were saying it could pay for free education for everybody in the nation. It could, if they were paying their taxes, this would be a different picture, is basically the message. I don't have the actual article in front of me, but the fact of the matter is, now you know why the Republican Party wants to take that money away from the DOJ, because that's exactly why it was given to the DOJ, was to find tax cheats in the higher brackets of income.
Right.
And that's why that was part of the whole debt ceiling argument, was to take all that money back, that $89 million, away from the DOJ. They didn't want that. They don't want that because those are their benefactors. Whether you want to believe it or not, that is a reality.
Maybe the DOJ would find out what Rick Scott did with all that money that he took.
Rick Scott, who presided over the biggest Medicare and Medicaid fraud as the CEO of a medical company, and then walked away with $300 million in severance pay for himself. That guy serving in the Senate. Explain to me why. Okay.
And we'll get to that one in a little bit. So we're going to talk about two groups of elections, because not every state is going to have an election for governor or for Senate. So for governor, in 2024 there will be 13 elections. Okay. However, in 2023 there's one, and that's that's Kentucky. I'm sorry, Kentucky. So
that's Andy Beshear.
Andy Beshear.
He must be reelected.
Both Kentucky and North Carolina, if the Democrats don't win, the Republicans get a trifecta in that state. And with a trifecta, that is the state house, the state senate, and the governor is a Republican. You can't have that in those two states. That's just talking about, that they would have a trifecta if he lost. So here is the what we're looking at for 2024. So we have the North Carolina governor. He is currently Democratic, but because of term limits, he can't run. So that one is the one that they say is most in jeopardy for 2024. And we'll see, Sununu left in New Hampshire. We'll see. But it looks like a Republican. But North Carolina, they could switch that. And that could be a trifecta in North Carolina. Josh Stein is the presumptive nominee for now. We'll see as this goes along. I'll pay more attention to when the primaries are. I'm just doing kind of a very big, like just a glossing over of what's going on. Okay. So he's the attorney general and he's running. Now, Gretchen Whitmer, she won last time. And also our least favorite governor, Ron DeSantis, also won. There were ramifications as to if a Democrat, whether a Democrat or a Republican wins in a state. Deb sent me this article, and it's very good. It's Vanity Fair, talking about what Gretchen Whitmer has done, and the fact that yes, she could run in the future as president, but she's doing a fantastic job in Michigan.
And she just got her trifecta there, and
yeah,
she needs to stay and finish the job, and that's exactly what she said, and that's what she's doing.
Right. And when there was a shooting in Michigan, she immediately reacted and and went for gun reform,
and it passed.
So you're not talking about thoughts and prayers and blah blah blah. She is going for true reform in Michigan, and you're going to see it over and over again. As opposed to, this is what DeSantis is doing for Florida, signing a law allowing him to run for president while remaining governor.
That was, by the way, not allowed in Florida until his legislature rammed that through, because Florida is totally in his control. Okay. His legislature has been, for all intents and purposes, they're just rubber stamping everything he wants. They did redistricting before the primaries. Before the midterms. He didn't like what they did. He rejected it. And then he, browbeat them into allowing him to do all the redistricting by himself. And he did. And he handed it to the Senate and they passed it. And then it was challenged in court, and he stacked his Supreme Court so that the Supreme Court won't do anything to change what he's done, even though they admit it was racist. Okay. He's got a total fascist government down there. He's totally in control. He is, for all intents and purposes, a dictator.
It is going to take some time to turn Florida around. There's a couple things that we can do. Support Democratic candidates in Florida to start to isolate DeSantis and isolate his disciples. Support Nikki Fried in trying to fund candidates. I'm going to get into it. I don't like the idea of putting in celebrities or sports figures or whatever because they can raise money. I like the idea of putting in more experienced candidates, but if that's what you have to do, it's a reality that in order to win, you need to raise money. Now, the DNC in Florida did not support Charlie Crist or
Val Demings.
Val Demings, thank you. I was going to say Ballard Plain. Val Demings. And they lost because they didn't have the money to advertise themselves. Right. There's a man who's...
They spent on Charlie Crist in the whole state.
Yep.
What Ron DeSantis spent just in Miami. You don't win elections like that. when you've got it so lopsided. Now everybody knows money needs to get out of politics. We're not getting into that here.
Right.
That's a talk for later on. Okay, right now it's either fascism or democracy. Whether you want to believe it or not, the biggest thing on the ballot this year, I mean, in 2024, is democracy. That's it. Nothing else matters. There's no solution in fascism for anything.
There is a man right now, and I'll get into it. He's running against. I'm losing my mind now. What's his name? Ted Cruz. He's supposedly five.
No, it's not. I got his name. I just posted this thing the other day too.
I have his name in.
Colin Allred.
He is 5 points behind. Do you know how much time we have?
Right.
The man needs funding to fund his advertising to let people know he's out there. Do you know how sick and tired people are of Ted Cruz? This is a chance.
Yeah, he's vulnerable. He really is. He is.
But so we have real chances to turn the Senate around, get a couple of seats. I understand we might lose Manchin. Okay. But there are a few seats here that are very important. So now we're going to talk about the Senate.
Let me just say something about Manchin too, right?
Yeah.
Right now, even if we keep Manchin, we need to add to the Senate to counteract everything he does that works against every progressive thing that Joe Biden tries to do. He has stood in the way of it. He stood in the way of Build Back Better. He stood in the way of the infrastructure bill. You know, he stands in the way of every he calls himself bipartisan. I call him a friend of the Republican Party. And I'm sorry, but you know, even if we kept him, having him to make a majority requires us to add senators just to counteract the bullshit he does.
Now, this is from April of last year. The case for exiling Manchin and Sinema from the Democratic Party. We understand that a lot of the stuff with abortion rights and LGBTQ rights and all of that, we understand Sinema is bisexual, blah blah blah. But a lot of the things that we try to get through as Democrats, whether it be child credit, Build Back Better, the infrastructure bill, COVID relief, debt relief, student debt relief, trying to get rid of the filibuster so we can actually get things done. Sinema and Manchin have blocked them. Okay. So, and Sinema is now an independent because she ripped it with her party.
She ripped it with the voters. She's polling
with the voters,
3% favorability. So, you know, that gives Ruben Gallego a major opportunity. All right.
Right.
It really does, regardless of whether Carrie Lake chooses to run on the Republican side or not, because right now the only person running on the Republican side is Mark Lamb, who is a constitutional sheriff. He's a fascist, a flat-out fascist. And I really don't see him beating Gallego. I really don't. A poll that was taken not long ago, and we don't pay much attention to polls to begin with. We don't really pay attention to polls this far out. But there was one poll done mostly to check where Sinema was on the favorability scale.
It was like 23.
Minus 23.
Yeah, minus 23 out. So
but it also showed Gallego outdoing even Carrie Lake. So
right.
she's also another one like Sinema. She's overstaying her welcome, you know, in Arizona. I actually think she wants to be Trump's running mate. That's what
this is April of 2022. someone making the case. This is from the Week. David Ferris making the case that the Democratic Party should dump these two and basically give up the Senate. Now they didn't do that, and they weren't going to do that.
I agree with that, but I don't know.
No, I don't either.
But the by the way, the Week just sent me a complimentary copy to try to get me to subscribe. But regardless of the fact that, okay, so we want to hold the majority, the fact is, even with them giving us the majority, we still have to elect more senators to make sure we
counteract their nonsense.
They do, Yeah.
So here's Ruben Gallego, and I want to, as I go through some of these pages, I want you to take a look with me at Democrats' pages as opposed to Republicans' pages, and see. So I'm just going into press releases. Gallego announces $30 million to expand internet access in Pima County. Gallego's statement on SCOTUS upholding the Indian Child Welfare Act. Gallego applauds companies for eliminating hidden junk fees. Gallego Slotkin introduced legislation to stop big pharma price gouging. Okay.
By the way, Slotkin is running in Michigan.
Yep.
For a new seat, also, I believe.
That's Debbie Stabenow's seat.
Stabenow. So they're trying to, and then we have, keep in mind when we get a chance to talk about it, which is not going to be tonight, we have to make sure we can take the House back too. So we need to find candidates to take these people's places. If we don't win the House, well, I'm going to say it again, we should never have lost the House, but we need the
House will be next week. But so we're going to get to Voldemort in a minute, but I just wanted to mention this.
Yeah.
Mortal threat. Governor Ron DeSantis, Marco Rubio, Rick Scott rushed to condemn Donald Trump's indictment. They're weaponizing the DOJ and all that crap.
Yeah.
This is just the whine and the cry of every single Republican right now.
The mortal threat is Donald Trump, okay? He's the mortal threat, not the indictment.
Burisma, stop, please. Okay, so it's early. You guys in Florida, just contact Nikki Fried, the DNC, whatever. Help them as best as you can. I don't know if I agree with this, but if they're the candidates, or one of them's a candidate, they're the candidates. Democrat donors hope to recruit NBA legends, either Grant Hill or Dwayne Wade, to run for Senate in Florida, because they can raise a shit ton of money. And this is, and supposedly Grant Hill, I don't know if they've had any, like if they were mayor or anything like that. I don't know how much experience they have, but this is where they're thinking of going. We need to get that seat back if we can.
We do.
Okay.
And he is vulnerable, and this is what we need to do. We are in that position right now where, it's all hands on deck, folks. Okay.
Listen,
Florida used to be a purple state. It was a purple state.
So if it's Grant Hill, it's Grant Hill. If it's Dwayne Wade, it's Dwayne Wade. If it's somebody in Democratic state politics, fine. But we need somebody that can win.
Look, let's be realistic, okay? The kid, the Gen Z that won from Florida, in Florida in the midterms. He didn't have any experience either. He seems to be doing a pretty good job from what I can see.
He is.
He is.
So what? Oh, come on.
Oh, yeah, I know. They do that all the time.
Oh, thank you. Okay. I don't necessarily agree with all of this in terms of the polling. We don't pay attention to that. I just want you to see who's running and all that stuff. Okay. So hold on. Are they going to be goofy? There we go. So in Arizona, it's Ruben Gallego. Right now, Kristen Sinema is the Democratic incumbent, but she's losing ground like crazy.
She's actually an independent now.
She is now an independent officially. Rick Scott is in Florida. Angus King in Maine. Debbie Stabenow is retiring. That is the seat that Alyssa Slotkin is running for. We have John Tester, who is vulnerable. They're pouring a ton of money in that state. Montana is a right-wing state, so they're pounding, that state with money, trying to get him out. Sherrod Brown, he's another one because J.D. Vance won that seat. They see blood in the water. They're going to try to get rid of Sherrod Brown. Okay, both of these guys are pro-union guys, so I don't know what to tell you. So they're looking at Tammy Baldwin, who I didn't really.
They're going to have a very hard battle getting her out. I can tell you that.
Yeah. And then Joe Manchin, they actually have losing already. Now I don't know about that, but we'll see. And as Deb said, and as I already said, he's already kind of on the fence. He flip-flops back and forth anyway. Now there's one seat that I disagree with that is, completely safe. But let's get to this a little bit. Dianne Feinstein is retiring. We'll see who wins that primary. We're not going to get into it today. Chris Murphy, Tom Carper, Mazie Hirono, Mike Braun in Indiana. He is retiring. He's going to run for governor. It looks like they're saying it's pretty safe for Indiana that a Republican's going to win that one. Warren, Cardin. Cardin, I don't remember who's running in that state, but that's pretty solid blue. Klobuchar. This is the one that I don't know is completely safe yet. Josh Hawley.
Right. I don't either.
We have an opportunity here.
Right.
There's a guy, that's raising some money and that's against it. So
and the guy that's running against him, he has a history of running against Republicans and beating them. So
he didn't win a primary the last time because he was running against like a beer magnate,
right,
basically, that had a ton of money. So, and that's part of this whole thing. Marsha Blackburn, unfortunately, looks like she's pretty much safe, but
I think we go after them anyway. If they can find somebody to run, they need to do it. I mean,
here's another one I forgot to mention. Cruz already, he's raising some money in that state.
Yep.
So let's get into this a little bit. So we had Debbie Stabenow. We talked about Alyssa Slotkin a little bit. Okay. So you have some people mentioned here: Debbie Dingle, Dane Kildee, Alyssa Slotkin, Haley Stevens, Gilchrist, Jocelyn Benson. And what it seems like is that the Democrats will determine pretty much who's going to run. They'll decide. They're not going to split the party, if you know what I mean,
Right.
and have like a really contentious election.
No, they're not. Gretchen Whitmer's too smart for that.
Right. Okay.
By the way, Gretchen Whitmer has announced her PAC to raise money to get Democrats elected. I have to think that she'll be able to raise money. She's riding high right now.
Right. This is Alyssa Slotkin's website from the 7th district. She's already in office. So, and what I typically do is I check the latest news. Slotkin unveils bill to ease pharmaceutical shortages, reintroduces bill to support families of veterans diagnosed with ALS, and statement on vote to prevent default. All of these, I understand some of these bills haven't passed, but guess what? It's going to take some time. This should pass. All this stuff should pass in Michigan now that they have a trifecta.
They're passing bills like crazy.
Yeah. So this is John Tester. Leaders set sights on defeating Tester. They just see blood in the water. So this is his John Tester's website. Tester secures $500,000 for Neighbor Works Montana to combat housing shortage and promote home ownership in Missoula, Montana. Tester introduces bill to lower drug costs for Medicare patients, hold massive PBM corporations accountable. There and high-speed internet is a big one. Oh, this one. A water settlement for Native Americans. Okay, so it's a little different in Montana.
To do something, okay? They're not passing bills to take away transgender care.
Right.
They're not passing bills to take people's rights away. They're actually trying to do something for their constituents.
And that's when you see this, well, have they passed it yet? If they haven't passed it, look at their legislature. Let's see here. This is Sherrod Brown. Okay. A lot of stuff having to do with the rail disaster. East Palestine, discuss recovery with local manufacturers. Announces $3 million to make rail crossings safer. So, hold on, more press releases. So, hold bank executives accountable for failures. Brown announces $920 million investment in Duramax operations at Brookville facility. Install new technology and equipment. Produces Duramax diesel engines for the Chevrolet Silverado HD. Let's see here. Markup on new bill to hold bank executives accountable for failures. Airport improvements, $1.8 million. More airport. National highlight, Brown's push to bring U.S. Space Command to Ohio. Brown colleagues urge PayPal to protect Venmo users from fraud. in their state. So you're protecting people from fraud in your state. You're building infrastructure in your state. This is what you're supposed to do. And he also was big in trying to protect workers. He's a big labor guy. But because J.D. Vance won in this state, they're looking to really hammer him too. So here you go. Here's our first Republican website.
Yay.
I don't know what this is about. Travel alert for U.S. citizens in Sudan or considering travel to Sudan. I don't know.
Contact Ted.
Contact Ted. My dad, Raphael, is my hero. He fled Cuba after being imprisoned and suffering beatings at the hands of Batista's thugs. He came to America with $100 sewn into his underwear and didn't speak English. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. He's got a great story about his immigrant father, but yet he spends all of his time deriding immigration. You know, the guy is amazing.
Okay.
Senator Cruz lays out evidence showing Bud Light Dylan Mulvaney partnership aimed at minors. I mean,
I don't know the House passage of legislation to increase veterans' access to scholarships for maritime academies. I'd have to see if that was actually a Republican bill or if he's just co-opting it.
right.
I don't know.
This is important.
Yeah. So there you go.
Introduced bill to rename Plano VA Clinic for late Representative Sam Johnson. Wow. Yeah.
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 So there you go. So this is Colin Allred. Okay. And he's already in the 32nd District of Texas as a House rep. Rep. Allred introduces resolution recognizing the importance of father engagement in maternal and infant health. Okay. Allred, Dingell, Fitzpatrick, Wasserman, Schultz reintroduce bipartisan legislation to increase access to breast cancer diagnostic tests. Allred statement on bipartisan agreement to lift the debt ceiling. And I've noticed nobody in the Republican Party is saying anything about it now.
No.
So
your connection was interrupted.
all right. Again, I don't really talk that much about polls, but what I'll say about this is it's important to know that Allred has a shot.
Right.
Okay. He's only 5 points behind. It's like 2 years away or a year away.
I think it's
Okay.
16 months.
16 months.
Something like
Sorry.
that. We need to keep pushing this guy.
And I don't want to hear, I know the guys in the military. The guy that Kuntz from Arizona, he's in the military too.
He's running against Hawley.
He's running against Hawley. I get all that, but there are going to be some candidates that's going to help them get in, and if that's what helps them get in, so be it.
Honest to God, you know what? All of that has really no bearing.
No, it doesn't.
We get right down to it. That's another false narrative. Okay. You know, now, does anybody like war? No, nobody likes war. Okay. Nobody. But you know what? This is a big world. All right. It is a big world. And the notion that all those other countries, you know, we just get rid of our military and all those other countries are going to be just good guys. You know what? Get over that. You can see it with Russia. If you can't see it with Russia, then, you know, then you're a Republican. That's all I can say.
Abigail Spanberger, she was, I believe she was NSA.
Yeah, she was in the intelligence community.
She was in the intelligence community. Guess what? She's doing a good job in that state. And
yes.
you might want to have one or two people in the intelligence communities in a state like Virginia when where you have some crazy people.
Whether you want to accept this or not, intelligence is a requirement in this world. Okay, and it will always be a requirement unless all the other countries decide not to do anything. Okay, it's just the way it is.
So I want to spend some time on this website just to show how devious this guy is. And we're talking about Josh Hawley. Now,
Unbelievable.
connect with Senator Josh Hawley.
Yeah,
Help
connect.
with a federal agency and share your thoughts.
I'll share my thoughts.
I'm sure you will. Now, highlights. This is come on. This is typical gaslighting crap.
It is.
Senator Hawley opens whistleblower tip line for those with the knowledge of abuses that haven't been proven, by the way, that even exist at pediatric transgender centers.
This is politics at its worst right here. He's in a state where they are dead set against any of this, and he is just pandering right now to bigotry.
Well, Hawley and Braun demand Biden implement COVID Origins Act. Now, I assume that's trying to ask where patient zero is and how COVID originated.
They're trying. And again, none of that is simple. That is based on science. It is not based on conjecture. Okay. All right. It is not based on conjecture. And we know it started in China. Okay. And they are not the most forthcoming people on the planet. And by the way, Anthony Fauci was the first person who said it would be critical to find out where it started and how it started so we'd know what we were facing. He said that a long time ago. Do I believe that it escaped from a lab? I actually don't. I believe it came from a wet market. I believe it came from an animal market. And by the way, those things are just havens for all kinds of bad shit. And those things are ancient and they really should be stopped.
Okay, so I don't know what this is about. Hawley and Blumenthal introduced bipartisan legislation to protect consumers and deny AA companies Section 230 immunity. And can you hear that? My cat is meowing.
No, I can't.
Okay, good.
He's not like Josh Hawley.
Yeah. So, but here, this and that, those two, and just out of curiosity, I want to know what this is about.
Woke mega corporations. Here
There you go.
We're back on the woke shit. He's absolutely just a propagandist of the highest order.
Right.
He really is.
An ever-shrinking group of the woke mega corporations control the products Americans can buy, the information Americans receive, the speech Americans can engage in, the books Americans can read, and the jobs Americans can obtain. And that is absolute crap. And do you know why I know that?
Determining the books Americans can read?
The Americans.
Politicians. That's who's determining it.
Well, Americans can determine it themselves by buying it or not buying it.
That's correct.
Yeah. And I know that because of how Bud Light tanked. Oh, well, hold on. Globalists hijacked and hijacked our antitrust policy and laws. Mega corporations allied with Washington to prioritize cheap goods in China ahead of
And by the way, who made that all possible? Anybody want to go over all of that? How did that happen? Oh, well, we gave tax cuts to corporations so they could create jobs. They did. They created them in China because you left that loophole open for them. Okay, stop it already. Okay.
All right, I'm getting off of this. But so
This guy's a putz. Okay. Ugh.
Skylar Baker Jordan wrote a pretty good article here about how dangerous Josh Hawley is. Josh Hawley is the most dangerous man in America. Ignoring the truth and pushing his message, even though he knows it's not true.
Right.
And his little shark skin suit and his slick hair and all that nonsense. Okay. You can read the article to your leisure, but that website, he is a propagandist of the highest order. I do have to give it to him. He's skilled at being a bullshit artist, but he is a big one.
Well, I don't know, but his book on manhood.
Oh, that, yeah.
Got trounced, by the way. There's nothing, look, this is all I can say is he raised his fist in support of the insurrectionists as he was walking across the mall, and then he ran like the little chicken shit that he is once they broke inside the building. You know what? He's got nothing. He's got absolutely nothing. Who is he to talk about manhood? He's a pissant little entitled politician. Go away. All right, Josh, go away.
He said something,
manhood. Oh my God.
Promoting fatherhood is the best way to protect masculinity or some bullshit.
Yeah, let's all protect masculinity because, of course, men seem to be being emasculated. The only person that was emasculated was Kevin McCarthy when he handed his balls over to the MAGA GOP members of the House. He could write a story on manhood.
So
sorry, I just had.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Lucas Kuntz running against Josh Hawley. So he's got a shot. He's definitely got a shot. Okay. And he actually was exposed to the toxic burn pits. So he had some things to say. And there's a military base in Missouri. Okay. There's Fort Leonard Wood. So just saying. Finally, I just want to say that Deb and Sarah have been working really hard on this thing. The big blue tsunami must happen in 2024.
And it must.
Now, I know these will be in order. There's going to be a website. This is just for letting people know who's running where, and maybe underneath somebody can put, hey, we're having an event, a fundraiser or whatever.
So this is a Facebook group right now.
This is a Facebook group.
Is for people to go into that group, to join that group and share those out. You can share those right out of that group. You can download them and share them on other sites. I share them every day on, not only on Facebook, I have them downloaded on my hard drive. I share them on Twitter. I share them on Counter Social. I share them on Spoutable. I share them on Post News. I share them all over the place. These are like mini ads, okay? And
oh, there she is, Abigail Spanberger.
Yep. They're designed to keep these people in front of everybody over the next 16 months. So join the group. You can't put a political post in there because we don't want people having to wade through a bunch of junk, honestly, when they can just go in here, see what they want to do, and share in everybody. I mean, share everybody, even if these people aren't in your district. By the way, he is running to replace Katie Porter should she prevail in taking Dianne Feinstein's seat.
Okay. Oh,
Josh
Bocanegra.
Yeah.
Now, is Beshear in here already? Because I haven't seen him yet.
She's working on Beshear tonight. She said she was going to get him tonight. Tammy Baldwin's in there.
And guys, Andy Beshear, he's running in November of this year.
Right.
So we need to really start hammering him so that we don't.
Sarah, that ding, that's actually Sarah sending me artwork right now. I can tell you.
Right. That's the ding of freedom, everyone.
That is, yeah, it sure is. It's the ding of democracy, kids. By the way, I normally don't do this, but part of this effort here is we also have a Teespring site, and I am actually making T-shirts and various other things for the 2024 election. And all of the money that we raise from that, I'm still working on it, so it's not there yet. We've had that for a long time. We've never really done anything with it. But whatever money we raise from the sale of whatever we sell, there's going to be tote bags and a couple other things. Anything we raise, 100% of what we earn in profits is going to go to Democratic Party candidates. Because none of us, I can't afford to give that much. I really can't.
Right.
You know, I'm giving what I can. And I know Amy Trommel gave a ton of money last year. She can't give that much this year. So we're trying to figure out ways we can contribute. We're not a corporation. And people who are in the squad, they don't take corporate money. Okay. So we're trying to raise money so we can give those candidates and the younger candidates coming up money to run. So everything we raise, I think we make $7 on every T-shirt or whatever. Everything we raise, we're gonna divvy up and give to candidates as it comes in, and we're gonna keep a list of it. So anybody who wants to see where it's going, we will be able to show that to you.
Now, listen. The bottom line is, it takes money to run a campaign. It just does. You have people in your staff and your campaign staff. You have advertising you have to produce. You have radio ads and TV ads. So, you know, it's not it's you have to think. It's pie in the sky thinking to think that you can just run people on a grassroots campaign and win. It's just not going to happen. Which is, from time to time, that's why you get famous people running, you know, like a Grant Hill or whatever, which is fine. I mean, I don't have a problem with that as long as they're not Herschel Walker.
Right.
You know, or somebody, or a Carrie Lake who just happened to be on TV and raised a ton of money.
Right.
Or Tuda Dixon. You know, if you're gonna do that, at least have some substance to you.
Right.
So, but it is just very naive to think that you can just run someone with no money and win. And we need to get these people out. Okay. And I'm not going to go into it. Deb and I aren't going to go into it too much now, but third parties are not the answer. Deb and I have already been there. We thought at one point that they were. They're not. I'm telling you.
And I was, by the way, I was the North Shore co-chair for the Green Party in Massachusetts. They're not. And I am going to be making a short video on them probably tomorrow morning, just to touch on the subject of what a third party infiltrating this election would mean for democracy.
Guess what, guys?
Talking
Kristen Sinema was in the Green Party.
right.
So my problem with third parties is they don't have a real true identity. And a lot of times they just try to gravitate towards being relevant, which makes it extremely easy to co-opt them.
Right.
Okay.
And by the way, the Green Party has been co-opted by deciding that it's okay to listen to transphobes.
We have to hear
what they
from
have
both
to say.
sides. No,
we don't. No, that was the deal breaker for me. That was the sayonara for me. No, I don't. I'm sorry. That just doesn't work. That's civil right. That's when one of the guys that I actually went out on protests with some of these people, and when I looked at one of these guys' websites that was running, and he said that in order for us to survive, gender has to be absolute and the future of eating must be vegan. When you start telling people what they can and cannot do with their body and what they can and cannot eat, it strikes an ugly chord for me. Now, do I think that we can save the environment by cutting down on, say, beef and stuff like that? Because it is a major factor.
Right.
I think we do. But I do not think that the idea here is to dictate what people can have to eat. It's absolutely not necessary, okay? It really isn't. That is not the biggest problem we have with climate change.
And by the way, the Republicans, to all you libertarians out there, the Republicans are showing their true colors. They are trying to dictate what businesses do. They're trying to dictate who the appropriate businesses are. I don't care what you label them. You're labeling them woke because they don't agree with you. How is that, government staying out of corporate business or business? So it's not. So they're full of it. They're trying to infiltrate themselves into everything.
Republicans that believe in free market. That's all libertarians are. Rand Paul is a libertarian. He's a fascist. He is absolutely a fascist. So
Rand Paul's still on the attacking Fauci.
He's always on that. He's got nothing else to do with his time. He's a dentist. Isn't he a dentist? No, he's an ophthalmologist.
He's an ophthalmologist, yeah.
Paul Gosar is a dentist. He would never get within 10 feet of my mouth. He's a whack job. He's a guy we got to talk about too when we get to the house.
Well, here's another thing. I mean, Deb already said it. Look, there are some people who are probably cemented in their seat, probably, but you give it a shot. You have to give it a shot. You have to run someone against them.
It'd be hard to dislodge Marjorie Taylor Greene just because of where she is. But you know what? If we could get our 9-seat lead back in the House, she's neutered, okay? She's got no power. The idea is to win back enough so they have no power. The people you can't get out, you need to neuter them.
And how's this? Try to, I don't know around that section how many are Democrat. Pick off those districts surrounding that area one by one if you can.
Right.
That way she doesn't have anybody. Now, it's going to be a little easier in New York, but you have, again, what's her name? Stefanik. Okay, right. There's another one. But you have to vote these people out, pick them off one by one and isolate them.
Right.
Okay. So,
honest to God, I can't see the people in New York voting for George Santos again. If they do,
I can't.
then they get what they deserve, because he's already
Don't tell me that. I didn't vote for him.
But he just called for the censuring of here's another one. He called for the censuring of, was it Adam Schiff? Is it Schiff that he called?
Schiff. It was Schiff, yeah.
Yeah, and guess what? When it came time for him to vote, he voted present. He's a chicken shit on top of everything else. Okay?
Oh, I didn't realize that was the vote. Then either you're a chicken shit or you're an idiot.
Yeah.
So, you know.
It's a tough call between the two. Again, another one, like Lauren Boebert missing the vote on the debt ceiling.
Oh, that tape of her running up and down the stairs, that's great.
Yeah, she missed it as in protest. Actually, she missed it because she was late. Yeah. That's what it was.
And you know what? Again, if you're late, you're late. You'd be like, you know what? I blew it. I'm late. I messed up.
No, she lied instead. Yeah. Because they're truth averse on top of everything else. All right, gang. That's what we got. And we will see you next week. And we will talk about the House of Representatives. Every single seat in the House is up again. We can win this thing back. They have made absolute fools of themselves on the GOP side. They have caused immeasurable damage to people, and they have pulled the stunt with the debt ceiling. We can win this House back, and we absolutely have to win the House.
There is one more thing that I will talk about, and that is there was a recent Supreme Court case talking about the redistricting of states. Now, we don't know yet how many seats we're going to go back to which states and all of that. But you have to understand that this will be an ongoing process, and you just have to be aware of where you are and if things get redistricted in your state. Last election, it was pretty crazy, and we actually lost 3 or 4, actually I think 3 Democratic districts just with that. But with that said, you still have to vote.
You do.
I mean, I understand it was a non-presidential year.
Doesn't matter anymore.
But 52%, that's not going to cut it. We can't win with that.
You can still beat redistricting if the majority of Democrats vote. You got to get out 80%. Why can't 80% of the people get out and vote? What's the problem? You can vote by mail now. You can do whatever you want. I vote by mail, and I track my ballot. You can track your ballot to make sure it's counted. If it's not counted, then you can go in and do something about it.
And when this is getting closer, I'm talking like 3-4 months out. We're going to hammer the mail-in dates, so no one forgets. Okay. By the way, I work for the post office. Go for it. Give us some business. Maybe I'll get an hour of overtime. By the way, the other nonsense about the post office, like hiding ballots, we don't have time for that. Give me a break. That would be too much work for us. Just saying. What are we gonna do that extra nonsense? We just throw it in the thing and be done with it.
Right.
That was absolute nonsense from what's his face, James O'Keefe, and all those jackasses.
Right.
So
the truth bringers.
The truth bringers.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right, gang. We'll see you next week. Have a happy Father's Day night.